total.
Not in total.
But guess what?
But
Allah led me to
Allah
Islam.
led me to Islam.
One of the reasons was
One of the reasons because of the scientific miracles.
And guess what? Did I leave Islam when this whole scientific miracle thing got debunked? No.
No.
Oh. Okay. I did not know that. I haven't seen this. That's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I'm over 18. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Muslim.
Oh, you are Muslim.
Yes.
Okay.
This is my first time kind of joining in on a live stream like this.
Well, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. So you know what the title infers then, right? Muhammad is not in the Bible. Prove me wrong. Do you think that you have any solid historical or manuscriptural evidence, or even a patristic source, that could make a solid case about your prophet being in the Bible?
So I know some of the verses that you were talking about. You explained them pretty well. Why you believe it's about Jesus, peace be upon him, rather than Prophet Muhammad. I was kind of looking at Deuteronomy 18:18 as well.
Yep.
And I had some points on this that I was looking at. So like when it says, I will raise them up a prophet from among thy brethren like unto thee, like talking about Moses, peace be upon him.
Sure.
I was putting together the similarities and the differences, and I personally came to see more similarities between Prophet Muhammad and Moses versus Jesus, peace be upon him, and Moses. So, for example, let's see here. So for starters, I wanted to also talk about like the brethren aspect. So all the kids that that Ismail had, they were all Arabs, and Isaac, all of the kids he had, they were Jews. So between them, the Prophet Muhammad was the only one on that side from the Arab side, which I kind of put together with the brethren aspect, which I was like, in order to be brethren, they have to be, you know, the brothers of the kids from the brothers. I'm sorry.
I know what you're saying. The descendants. You're looking for the word descendants, right?
The descendants. Yeah, sure. Correct. So, and if it was to be, so like for example, Solomon, Isaiah, Daniel, Ezekiel, they were all on the Jewish side. So the only other side would be the Arab side, which leads to Prophet Muhammad. So that's one thing that I was kind of, if you could kind of clarify.
Okay,
that.
so yeah, so let's start there, because what I don't want to do, and I'm not saying you would do this, but what I don't want to do is I don't want to have you make too many points, and then because here's my thing. And I've shown you guys right here. I'm writing everything down that everybody says.
Yeah.
And what I don't like, guys, is when someone comes in. Now, I will always respectfully, even if every sentence you say, I know that I can historically or otherwise disprove, I will give you the respect of letting you say what you have to say. I don't like those shows where people are constantly talking over one another, right? What I don't want is for someone to come in and make several points and then accuse me of talking too fast or talking too much and saying, well, you've said too much and I can't. But I'm like, well, brother, I'm addressing everything that you said, right? Like so I hate that people come in to say, you know that I'm saying too much. So I'm not being disrespectful, but I want to address, because it sounds like you have thoughtfully looked this through, right? So what I will say to you is going to be very similar to what I said to brother from earlier, right? Ladies and gentlemen, the entire argument about Deuteronomy 18:18 being about Muhammad is basically, and literally, and I'm going to say this as kindly as possible, it is literally just Islamic wishful thinking, right? And it has to, there's a lot of things that have to be taken out of context with bad exegesis and zero historical awareness behind trying to make a correlation between Muhammad and Deuteronomy 18:18. Now, going back, one of the first things I wrote down was that you said you saw more similarities between Moses and Muhammad than between Moses and Jesus. Now, I'm not, whatever, I'm sure that maybe you did come to that conclusion, but the thing about this prophecy, unfortunately, Alex, is that that's not how this works, right? God was not comparing birth records and personality traits like it's some sort of dating app, right? He was literally in Deuteronomy 18:18 speaking to Israel about Israel within Israel and fulfilling his covenant promises to Israel, right? Now, I'll break that down for you because I know it just sounds like Israel a lot, right? But here's the thing. The part where it says from among their brethren, it doesn't mean the Arabs, and I'll explain to you why. The word in Hebrew is ak, okay, which is used repeatedly in the Old Testament to refer to fellow Israelites. That's how they used to refer to each other, ak. It's transliterated, it's ACH. I can give you the original Hebrew if you want to. I'll put it in the chat for you if you like. But that was the word ak. Here, I'll give it to you right here, okay? Don't ask me what those letters are because I'm looking at just the lexicons and translations, okay? So the word in Hebrew is ak, right? Now, that is Israelites speaking to one another, okay? It was, it kind of like brother or hey, whatever, the way that we speak to each other, that's how they referred to one another. That's how an Israelite would never use that term for a Gentile. Does that make sense? So that in and of itself, that testament to refer to fellow Israelites, not neighboring nations, right? And you would have to look at if you go back a little bit, we look at Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15. It says that the king must be chosen from among your brethren. And Muslims don't claim any Arab king ever ruled over Israel. That we know that is historically false, right? The brethren, the quote unquote brethren, are Israelites, period. This is about Israel. There is nothing about the Arab nations or the Arab descendants that are being read into this, right? But the part that was more concerning to me, what you said was the like unto Moses, right? Where you said that Moses was more like Muhammad than he was like Jesus, right? Now, the prophet is to be like unto Moses. That doesn't mean just having a wife or fighting battles or whatever. The key parallel between Moses and Jesus is being a covenant mediator, right? Moses delivered the law of God, right? He spoke to God face to face. Moses performed miracles and he interceded for the people on behalf of the Israelite people from the moment that he freed them from Egypt, right? If we look at Jesus Christ, he did the exact same things. In fact, he surpassed Moses. We can actually look at the book of Hebrews chapter 3, verses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? 1 through 6. Muhammad didn't speak with God. He claimed that an angel squeezed him in a cave and that he went silent for months. That's a lot of things. I'm surprised that people don't talk about that more. The fact that he didn't talk for a long time after that, right? And to say nothing of the fact that he brought a book with no prophecy, right? No miracles, right? No Sinai level covenant. It wasn't even close. What happened with Muhammad was unfortunate, but it was never foundational in God. And I feel bad for the guy because what happened to him in the cave, I would never wish upon anybody. But thank God for the hadiths that we actually know this is what actually happened, right? But lastly, I'll tell you that the New Testament explicitly says this about Jesus in Acts 3, 22 and 23. Peter actually quotes Deuteronomy 18:18 word for word, and he says it's about Jesus, which is, I don't know if you knew that, but Peter himself said that it was about Jesus. It's not about Muhammad. It's not about some future Arab from the Arabian region that no one had any idea of, right? So you need to believe that Peter was either lying, mistaken, or part of some cover-up to deny that. And obviously, historically, we're talking about them being a bigger stretch than anything in the verse itself. So I listen, here's the thing. I get it. I get what you're trying to say, but when you look at it and you read it in its actual historical context and what was being said there, there's nothing about Deuteronomy that's talking about anything else except for the nation of Israel. Does that make sense? And we all know that Muhammad is not a descendant of Israeli people. He's not a Jew. Muhammad is not a Jewish man. He's an Arabian man, right? So that's why even historically that one kind of falls flat on its face, because when you look at it and you look at even just the Hebrew and what it said the word ak it's them talking to each other. How could Muhammad be fit into that? Muhammad would never, no Israeli, no person from the nation of Israel, no Jew would ever look at an Arabian man and call them ak. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I wanted to just quickly ask. So when you were mentioning about the in the Quran, like it doesn't have miracles or anything like that, or prophecies.
Uh-huh.
Were you just saying that like as a whole, like in the entirety of the Quran, there's no miracles or prophecies that have been fulfilled?
Yes.
Okay. So what's your take on the like all the scientific findings through the Quran, like with like the embryo stage or like there's a lot like with the water cycle or like fingerprinting, like all this stuff that's in the Quran, like that Prophet Muhammad could not have known about
Yeah.
because science hadn't
Yeah.
grown.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me ask you something real quick, and I'm not trying to pivot, I promise. Have you ever heard of a Muslim apologist named Ali Dawah?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear about how the pushback that he got for what he said about those scientific discoveries? Do you know what he said about Muhammad?
I have not seen that, no. But
I encourage you to read it. As a matter of fact, do you want me to send it to you?
sure, yeah.
Okay. So here, I'm going to give you the link because I don't want anyone accused. Here, you know what? I'm going to bring it up. I want you guys to see this. This is, does the Quran have scientific miracles?
People are flocking to Islam.
People are flocking to Islam.
The
So
argument
me
of scientific
saying,
debunked, it is debunked.
hold on.
People are flocking to Islam. So me saying the argument of scientific miracles debunked, it
So me saying the argument scientific miracles debunked,
is debunked.
it is
And guess
debunked.
what?
And guess
We
what?
don't even need
We don't
it.
even need it. Those are from the words of Ali Dawah. Here, let me show you something else that he said it more than once.
Muslim apologist Ali Dawah
Muslim
is now
apologist Ali
admitting
Dawah is now
the
admitting
Islamic
the
argument
Islamic
from
argument
scientific
from
miracles in the
miracles in the
Quran
Quran
has been debunked.
has been debunked.
It might
Look,
be
it might
that
be
Andrew
that
Tate came to
Andrew Tate
Islam
came to
for the
Islam
wrong
for the
reasons.
wrong reasons.
Guess what?
Well, guess
he
what?
may be
He may
staying
be
in Islam
staying
for
in
the right
Islam
reasons.
for the right reasons. How?
One of the reasons
one of
I
the
accepted
reasons I
Islam was a
accepted
scientific
Islam
miracle.
was a scientific miracle. I'll be honest with you. And
Now we know that
now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense. Not in total.
Guess what?
But guess
Allah
what?
led me to
Allah
Islam.
led me to Islam.
One of the reasons was
One of the
because
reasons because of the scientific
And
miracles.
guess what? Did I
And
leave
guess what?
Islam
Did
when
I
this
leave
whole
Islam
scientific
when this whole
miracle thing
scientific
got
miracle thing
debunked?
got debunked?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. I haven't seen that. That's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah. And you know what, brother? I love you, man. I appreciate and I respect the fact that you're here. But there is and I hate, because I don't like being the bearer of bad news. I don't like doing it at my job. I don't like doing it here. But my thing is, I don't want anyone staying within Islam for the wrong reasons. Does that make sense? And it sounds like there's a lot of things that you're repeating that a lot of people have repeated here that are being repeated for no other reason except that this is what you have heard and this is what you've been taught. Now, I'm going to explain something to you. When I first came to Christianity, which was only about 3-4 years ago, believe it or not, I'm over 40 years old. And the reason I was able to come to Christianity is because after having all the experiences I had throughout life, after having come to Jesus Christ, it wasn't because it was because of, well, here, let me start here. It was because of the prayer. It was because of a lot of different things, right? My wife prayed for me for over 10 years. My mother-in-law prayed for me for over 10 years. But a lot of it had to do with what God had me looking into. He had me looking into a lot of different things and what was true, what wasn't true. And when I looked at Christianity from the same standpoints that I looked at other religions, such as Islam, such as Buddhism, atheism, whatever, because people can say whatever they want. Atheism is just as much a religion as anything else. I don't care how much they deny it, right? When I looked at these things with the same scrutiny, the only one that withstood the test time and again, historically, manuscripturally, patristically, archaeologically, was Christianity. The only one. And then you look at other things like, why would the apostles lose their lives for something that they knew was a lie? Why would you allow yourself, for example, Brother Alex, if I had passed away and then you went around telling people with a group of 11 other guys, 10 other guys, that you guys saw me walking around and you saw me ascend to heaven, right? And then you did this to the point where the Roman government got a hold of you, or the government or the group of people wherever you just so happen to be preaching got a hold of you, and they decided to skin you alive. And the only thing that you had to do in order to avoid such a horrible death is say, you know what? It was all a lie. This didn't really happen. I'm sorry. This didn't really happen, right? You know what ends up happening now? You are now dying for a lie. And even modern psychologists say people do not die for what they think is a lie, especially not in the horrific way that the confirmed apostles, because we can only really historically confirm 6 or 7 of the apostles' actual deaths. There's no reason to lie about that, right? The fact of the matter is, the ones that we can confirm were horrible. Being crucified was already the worst way to die. It probably still is. One of the apostles got crucified upside down because he said, listen, if you're going to crucify me, you're not even going to crucify me the way my Messiah was crucified, because I don't even deserve that. So the man was crucified upside down. Another one was beheaded. Another one was boiled in oil, brother. Another one was skinned alive. You're going to tell me that every single one of these men died preaching the risen Jesus Christ, and not a single one of them said, okay, it was a lie. I listen, no, this isn't true. I don't believe it. It didn't really happen. Just please don't do this to me. Not a single one. As a matter of fact, they died praising Jesus Christ, right? And then look at what just happened. I showed you what you asked, and it was a very genuine question, and I appreciate the genuine question. The fact of the matter is, you asked it not even knowing, because this is something that I will give the Islamic world credit. You guys are very good at keeping you guys' things that get the stuff that gets debunked. The Islamic world is so good at keeping it under wraps. So good, right? The problem with that is that there's a reason why the saying is now that the biggest enemy of Islam is the internet, because now people are actually able to look up these things that imams have been preaching for centuries with impunity, because no one ever had a way to look it up and say that they were saying it, that what they were saying was untrue. And now people have the internet, and you have people leaving Islam by the loads. You have people who are claiming Islam, but only because a lot of them live in areas where if you claim anything else, there's going to be some issues for you. Does that make sense? So my question, not my question, but my advice for you, brother Alex, is continue to seek the truth, brother. Continue to seek the truth. I feel like you're on the right path. I feel like you are like brother Zulfi, that the more you look into things, the more you're realizing that it's not what you thought it was, bro. It's not what you thought it was. You know what I mean? And now it's to the point where you have dawas who are coping on the internet and saying, don't worry, listen. Don't worry about the fact that what the Quran says is not true, because we don't need it. What do you mean you don't need it? These are things that are in the Quran. The one that Muslims have been claiming for years is perfectly preserved. And now that you're saying that modern science has disproved what's in the Quran, the one that Muslims have been saying is infallible, that it is the God, that it is a miracle, that it is the word of God. Now you're saying we don't need it, even though it says it in your book and you know it to be false, and you're still getting on YouTube trying to say it doesn't matter? What do you mean it doesn't matter? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I definitely need to look into that, because like that's crazy. Like I haven't even seen it or heard anything about it.
Yeah.
The thing is, I'm definitely gonna keep doing research and and learning, obviously, because that's like the first thing you need to do before making any decisions.
Amen.
So
please do.
But I'm not gonna lie, there is certain things that I still, obviously, with the amount of time that I've spent, researching and stuff, that I still don't really understand or feel like, so I do need to obviously figure those out. I don't want to necessarily include all of them into this stream.
No, I got you. I'll be here, man. Through the glory of God, I will be here as long as God allows me to, and you are welcome to call in whenever you want. Here, brother, I appreciate it. I am putting in the link. Oh, wait, don't ignore that first one. I did it wrong. crossunit.live /Discord, ladies and gentlemen. It is in the lower thirds. It pops up. There's the link to Discord, brother. All you got to do is click on that link or type it into your browser choice. Doesn't matter. It'll send it. That is the invite link. You just accept it and you join in. And whatever questions you have, man. The only thing I talk about in my Discord server is when I tell people, do not come in here to turn the Discord server. I've had to ban any number of trolls, atheists, Muslims, because everyone's invited. But the minute you start turning it into a debate comment section, my response to you is, if you want to debate or you want to have those conversations, let's have those conversations during the stream. Do not try to turn my Discord, which is supposed to be a refuge or a place for people with questions like yourself, people who are trying to get to know Jesus Christ, people who are trying to figure out what is the truth. I have no problem with that. The only thing I ask for anybody who joins my Discord, do not come in trying to be a troll. Do not come in trying to turn it into a comment section debate. There is nothing that turns me off faster to a person than when they will continue to stay in my comment section, in my live chats, in my Discord, saying everything they want to say. But when I ask them to come to the show, they refuse to do so. Does that make sense? I don't have any respect for that. It's like, look, you came here and you had your thoughts, you had your things, and then I showed you something. You were like, I didn't know that. But you know what? At least you came on and you had, as a man, you made the attempt to say, I'm going to at least try, right? But here's my question, Brother Alex. The last thing I'm going to ask you before anything else. The topic today was Muhammad is not in the Bible. Prove me wrong. Do you feel after coming in here today that you have at least learned something? And do you feel concerning Islam and Christianity that there was a lot more that you have to reconsider after having this conversation?
I definitely believe that there's a lot more that I need to learn and understand, just because there's a lot of different perspectives and ways that people can explain something that you just might hear one side and not really think of the other. So I definitely do believe that you got my mind going.
Good. Now listen, as a Christian, all I want to do is plant the seeds, brother. And I will continue to pray for you that your eyes are open, because let me ask you a quick follow-up question now that you have said that. If in your journey, because you are an intellectually honest person, and I can see that and I can feel it, and I can feel the Holy Ghost consuming, man. I'm getting excited here. Do you feel like if you continue to do the research and you continue to be as honest as you have been here, do you feel that if and when you learn that Christianity is a truth, and you look at it historically, and you look at the archaeology, and you look at everything, and then you kind of start, doing your research and taking your time, right? There's no rush. Do you feel like if Christianity, you found out actually to be true, that you would want a relationship with Jesus Christ?
100%. Yeah. No, if I was able to, if I was convinced, if I was able to see that like a lot of the things that I understood are wrong, or, if it was provable to me that from all aspects, then I obviously, because my thing is that I'm not a blind belief follower. I like
Amen.
to actually do my own research and
Amen. Yep.
kind of see. So that is that's kind of why I'm even doing all this research to begin with.
This is what it's about, ladies and gentlemen. This is already the second Muslim today who has come into my stream and decided that maybe things aren't what they appear. Maybe people have been lying to me. Maybe there is a truth that they didn't want me to find. And when, again, Brother Alex is proof that when you don't just blindly listen to what people tell you and you do the research for yourself, you will come to revelations that you never thought possible. Brother Alex, thank you so much for being on the show, man. I really appreciate you being here. But more than that, I appreciate your honesty. And I'm going to continue to pray for you, brother. We are planting seeds here. And I thank you for giving me the humble privilege of allowing me to do so. Thank you, brother. I will talk to you soon, man.
Absolutely. Take care.
Take care. God bless you, brother.
Thanks.